Hello and welcome. Well, today we are talking about a subject which comes on the table and goes off the table and comes on the table, and rightfully so. Until it leaves the table completely, we should and forever talk about it. Transparency and corruption, but a personal commitment. Rather than sitting at home and saying it is the president's commitment, it is the political leader's commitment, a personal commitment. Now, this seminar was organized by the Salt and Light Ministries, headed by no other than Dr. Joyce Aye. But I'll tell you a story which Elizabeth Ohene said some time ago, and I think is intriguing. That as Ghanaians, if you're walking by the market and somebody shouted, "Hey, he's corrupt, he's corrupt, he's corrupt," everybody would just walk by. But if they dare say thief, 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 you are in trouble.
You are dead.
Even though the guy who said corrupt, corrupt may have stolen $1 million, you probably get an invitation to be a chairman. But if you dare take a shoe polish, a chicken, a sack of cassava, and they say thief, you are in trouble. How are we going to change our mindset and classify all these people as wrongdoers of the nation and treat them with the same contempt? Not lynch, but treat them with the same contempt. But most importantly, our personal commitment, because sometimes we just pay our way out to stop bureaucracy. The queue is too long, take money, let me jump it. The bureaucracy is too long, take money, let me jump it. And each and every one of us contribute to this canker that we face today, not only in Ghana, but the whole of Africa. Folks, my name is Nana Ansakwa. This is PM Express. When I come back, I am talking to Dr. Joyce Aye and my brother, Manasseh Azuri Awone. You don't want to move. Stay tuned. Thank you very much for staying, tackling corruption. And what's brought about this topic? Well, the Salt and Light Ministry held a seminar entitled Transparency and Corruption, but your personal responsibility. That's where they were looking at it from. Because most of the time we all sit down and, point at the Flagstaff House and say, well, they are the ones that are corrupt. As for me, I'm fine. I only pay 10 cedis, so I'm okay. But apparently, well, not apparently, in fact, we are all in it. This is, I think, the second of such seminar. The last time was integrity and excellence in the workplace. Yeah. These are topics seriously lacking. I don't know whether in our culture or our habit or anything, but we need to bring it back. Auntie Joyce, you're welcome.
Thank you very much, Nana. It's been quite a while.
I know. And Manasseh, my brother, we bump into each other always on the work corridor. I admire him so much.
Did he tell you he was my son?
No, he hasn't.
He's been hiding it.
I'd hate to be a politician if Manasseh is still at work. Might be an absolute pest in anybody's workplace. But it's a good one that the nation needs. So Manasseh, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Good. Auntie Joyce, let me start with you. What brought about this conflict? Because it's such a huge task.
Yeah. Actually, this year, my heart has been just aching as I think about our country and the way we're going, and the fact that many of us seem to think that it's only the few politicians, and there are few, even if you put all of them together, they're few. The rest of us, in fact, it is we, the majority of people, who even mandate those who represent us. And so if we who mandate them think that all the problems come from there, then the issue is to ask ourselves, what's wrong with us? Why did we mandate them? There must be something wrong with us if we think we're mandating some people who are going to cause problems. So what we began to think about really as a ministry was, what is it that we can do to influence the mindset, to be part of the transformation of people's attitudes and way of looking at things? And that's why we started with integrity and excellence in the workplace. Then we thought, well, corruption is very relevant. And so let's look at it, but don't let's go and talk definitions and philosophical issues. Let's just go and say, right, we know it's there, we're part of it, what will we individually do to minimize it, if not eradicate it? And so the format we took was to ask the speakers to talk from personal perspectives. Kelly Gajepo spoke on governance. You know, how do you run a business and really avoid corruption or stop yourself from contributing to it? Because one of the examples he gave was that, you know, when he was part of Data Bank, you know, part of their mandate was, what do they call it? Transaction advisory, something. And that you had to see this person and see that person. I like the way he emphasized this, see this person and see that person. You know that it wasn't just using your fiscal eyes. So after a while, they decided, look, we won't do it anymore. We will not be part of this kind of seeing. You know, and we'd rather focus on the mutual funds kind of thing. And, you know, initially it was difficult, but things are sort of working out gradually. So, and then he talked about other things, how these things just come up. And good old Manasseh, you know, told us what it is to actually investigate organizations, find corruption, and boldly talk about them, write about them, follow up, get insulted, get threatened, but still stay your ground. And then we had A.C. Ansah, who spoke from the perspectives of just ordinary us. What's your mindset? What are the things that are most important to you? How do you even determine whether something is corrupt or not? You must set your own boundaries and have your own perspectives and priorities and so on. And then we had a Dr. Osei Asare who runs a youth organization, Osei Asare Foundation, talking to us about the value of integrity, because that really is what defines the transparency that you practice and then the anti-corruption that you practice. And he told us quite bluntly that the young people think that we are to blame. We raised them, and we've raised them to make them feel that you can buy your way around. You can cheat in exams, you know. You can go and buy papers. I think he gave an example of someone who was writing, someone gave the example of somebody who was writing a PhD thesis and actually gave it out to be written for them. And when questioned, the person said, oh, why are you worried? After all, if I were writing my autobiography and I asked somebody to write it and the person sat with me and I dictated, it would be the same thing. So what's wrong with me getting my PhD that way? You know. So these are some of the things. But the beautiful part of the whole thing was the interaction and how passionate people were about what they're seeing, and the way the speakers kept saying, you know, of course you know the problem and so on. What will you do? What will you do in your own way? How much will you give that policeman? How much will you go and pay to the headmaster or headmistress to get your child there? How would you deal with a situation of looking for a job and going to somebody, to go to somebody, even though you don't deserve the job? You know, so we debated and dialogued, and at the end of it, we came out with some areas that we think we should look at if we want to be personally involved in kicking it out.
Manasseh, now you are one stubborn little journalist, the big small man, I call it. The system is such that I've been caught speeding probably somewhere in Enyinem. I live in Kaswa. I want to head to the town after Enyinem. there's no system that tells this policeman that, okay, when you get back to Kaswa, report yourself to Kaswa police and go to court, you know, somewhere near Kaswa and get yourself fined. It's, I'm going to take the car, take a trotro back to Kaswa, and then on Thursday, you know, come to Koforidua court. The lawyer didn't come. And 10 cities could have solved all this problem. I mean, the car from Kaswa back and this could probably cost you 300 cities in time and money. 10 cities would have solved this problem once and for all. If there was a system where I can come back, go to court, pay 30 cities or whatever the fine is and go, maybe 5 out of 10 people will say, you know what, I'll give the money to the state. But the system just says, look, pay 10 cities and be done with it. I mean, 10 cities, that's all to go. What does the average, you know, citizen do when you are faced with such choices?
Well, as Auntie Joyce said yesterday, the discussion came to a point when we all agreed that there's no reason, there's never any good reason to be corrupt. Otherwise, we could also say the system makes it very possible or necessary that people go into armed robbery. Because these young men wake up, some don't even know where their next meals will come from. They have a small gun, a machete, and someone has stolen so much, or perhaps have many people have so much that even what their dogs feed on is more than what certain families can consume. So it is also justifiable in a way to say that, okay, this young man can take whatever weapon they lay hands on to go there and pick something small. After all, they're not going to live luxurious lives, they just want to cure their hunger. But that is never a good reason. I understand your the question you are asking, the difficulty. That's why yesterday's one is a commitment. And to commit to something means you don't just do it when it suits you. You do it at your own expense. You do it, you have to sacrifice your comfort. And I always say the difficulty in this country is about obeying laws. If you want to obey laws, you find your life more difficult than a lawbreaker. That's the irony. And sometimes, in this case, you even have to pay something, but in most cases, there are no mechanisms to even punish people. And I encountered one very interesting scenario in South Africa. I was there for a program, and so a company rented, I was sponsored after one award, so I was driven around. So on Sunday morning, we're driving, I was being driven from Sandton City to Johannesburg, the central business district. I was to stay there and do internship with a newspaper. Then once we were going, there wasn't traffic that morning. You know, all of a sudden, the driver slowed down. So I asked her, why have you slowed down? And what he told me is that was that there are security speed cameras around. If I speed beyond this limit, they will bring a receipt to me. I'll have to pay. And even if my employers get to know that this is what I did, I can even lose my job. So on that street, there's no police officer. But there's something there to punish this person. So when you go out there, I don't think that man is naturally more disciplined or law-abiding than the circle or doko guys who drive as if the world belongs to them.
Suicide mission.
Yes. So I think that difficulty, there's a gap between the action and the punishment, or what should stop it. But as we all agreed yesterday at this seminar, it is a personal commitment that all of us need to make. And normally, if you stand there and tell this police officer, that officer, I know what you are driving at, but instead of giving 10 cedis to you, I'd rather pay 500 cedis to the state. He'll process you, go and pay. I'm sure that police officer would never forget about you. And sometimes you cannot change everyone, but for some who see it, they would want to think twice about what they are doing on the road.
Let me now move it up to the governance level, because we are all at it. Again, I'm attacking from the system side. The system is such that for an individual to rise all the way to the top, we charge him fortunes, an arm and a leg. Sometimes they would have to bus their own voters, clothe them, feed them, water them, and give them pocket money, then bring them back home, do all that for the guy to get to the top. Is he not compromised? I mean, doesn't the system compromise him before he
doesn't have to compromise himself. He doesn't have to compromise himself. Because really, what we need to begin to do in this country is to let people know that democracy requires that we all are part of governance. But since not all 14, 15 million people who are of age can go and occupy the positions, we're going to find one person to represent us. And that in doing so, we are virtually saying that we all believe in what the person is standing for, and therefore we'll do it. I mean, I'm talking ideal, I know. But I worry when those who are going to stand for elections give the impression that they are actually going to be responsible for the well-being of the people, you know, so that if you vote for me, this is what I'll do for you. If you vote for me, this is what I'll do. It shouldn't come to that situation. And therefore, they are paying a price for not letting the masses of the people understand this whole thing about casting a vote to empower somebody to represent you so that you can go about your business. But there are certain businesses of state that can be done, let's say in Parliament, where bills come and they are made into acts, in the ministries where the bureaucracy must be made to work, and so on and so forth. The second thing also is that we must never give the impression that the money we use for elections is our own money. No one, no politician can actually do politics with his own money. If I believe in Manasseh and Manasseh is running for office, even if it's 100 cedis a month, I would want to contribute to his war chest so that he can go and run for office. And if Manasseh does not expect me to give him 50,000, you know, so that he will give me something back, then even if I gave him 50,000, he would know that is because I believe in what he stands for. That's the way we should really go about it. So if you who are going to be voted give the impression that you have so much money that you can put some in matchboxes and buy rice and so on and so forth, then of course when they're hungry, they'll come to you.
I mean, I was speaking to Professor Kosa, asking him, you know, why wouldn't you run? Because I find him a very knowledgeable, very passionate person.
And very charismatic.
He says, I go to them, the delegates come to me and said, oh, Hadi, I just say, you know, you put some money before.
So he says no.
And he says, well, then forget it.
Of course.
So, I mean, so we've lost a very good brain who could have really done, you know, something, you know.
But there are other positions, Nana. You see, there are other positions, and I think people like Professor Kosa, you know, can play a major role in other ways. And I like the attitude. I think his attitude is that I can influence and help my country without going through the process of buying somebody's vote. I find that very insulting, actually. I think those who pay people to vote for them really do not respect such people. How much can you give them? How much can you give them? A bag of rice? How long will a bag of rice last? You know, so I really think we are insulting.
5 kilo bag.
I think we are insulting our people. And what bothers me is that we seem to almost create a poverty mentality, you know, so that by the time it's time for elections, the people are desperate, you know, for you to get there, because if the child is ill, they can come to you, if they, you know. So we're creating a sort of dependency, and I don't think it's right. I know quite a number of MPs are not happy about it. But I guess they think that that is what the next person is doing. And so they must also do it if they want to win. But we need to break the back of some of these things, you see, because if we don't, then by the time we realize it, even at JHS level, when people want to be class prefects, they're going to do that. Already is on the university campuses. I mean, there's a mirroring of the way we run our national elections on the university campuses and in polytechnic campuses, which is such a pity.
Manasi, you said something which I think was very profound with regards to the law-abiding rather being fools. Now, I always use myself as an example because once you go past Fiesta Royal heading towards like Accra Mall, now, you know, the road sort of forks up and then the right one goes to the airport. So everybody pretends to go to the airport and then cuts back in. So as law-abiding as I've always been in the last God knows how many years, you just sit in traffic and you sit there and you ask yourself, now this guy's going to get home 20 minutes earlier than I would. And the painful bit is that by the time you get there, the police are just like 100 meters there.
And speaking on phone.
You know, so it becomes so painful. I mean, I am unable to do it because I just find it so, I just think it's out of order. Yeah, for me to just drive in the corner, get there, and then now, wrestle my way in. So I have to just be in the lane. But I'm the idiot. I'm the idiot because for the last 2 years, not one have I seen any car being stopped, nothing. I mean, so I can imagine other people thinking, look, I won't do this again. I would also, jump the queue.
Yeah, but you see, the thing is, you may think you are the idiot, but think of your dignity preserved. Think of your integrity preserved. No money can buy that. And really, what's 20 minutes? You don't live in the same house with the person. You're not racing with the person.
No, it's just
you're not racing with the person.
20 minutes in traffic is very annoying.
I know, it's very annoying. So find something to do that takes your mind off those things. Because the thing is, we're not even going to the same place and nobody's going to pay us for getting there first. So being law-abiding eventually is better. You don't cause an accident. I mean, you're not the reason, So when you come to think of what Manasseh was saying is that there really is no reason for you to be corrupt. You can't justify it. And so deciding to be called an idiot by the one who's really the idiot is okay.
I mean, I know I've used the traffic circumstances, but I can move up to, like, let's say, trying to acquire a passport or driving license or birth certificate or something which probably should have been done via post. And then you say you're going to go by the wrong way. Probably your sponsorship to South Africa will cancel and come back and, your documents will never be ready. Somebody goes there, puts 150 CDs down and 30 minutes, well, hey, process done. He's in court, he's not caught. And you are home saying, look, I'm the good citizen. I won't pay my way. I will wait. I mean, it's hurtful.
I can give you two scenarios. When I was in GIG, I was the SRC president. And I received a call one afternoon, we were on vacation, that they needed someone to go to South Africa for a program. And so the administration called me and asked if they needed someone who had a passport. I didn't have a passport. So I had to call my SRC vice president, Joshua Tigo, and he went to South Africa. It was this Highway Africa conference. He went and came back. I think 2 years later, I got that same opportunity and even a better one. I attended that conference and even had an internship with a newspaper. When I asked him to go, there were others who said, if you're wild, you can just get your passport within hours. So why do you allow such opportunity to slip by? But I allowed it, eventually I had it. When I wanted to do my driver's license, I was in Tamale when I started the process. The day I was going to write the paper, the exam, before I entered, I was asked to, okay, you don't write and come back later. We will sort you out. And I said I was going to write. And the guy said, if you go and then you fail and come here, you write again. I said, okay. I took up the challenge. When I finished writing the exams and then came, they didn't even ask how I fared, that I should go and buy the referral card, the receipt, because many people fail. And there were 30 questions and you were supposed to answer 25 or get 21 correctly before you could pass. And God being so good, I had my 21 out of 30, so I passed. After that, I was supposed to do the driving test, being a vehicle driver, and then they would assess me and then perhaps give me the license. And they said I should come back 2 weeks' time. And I said I was in Accra, so the 2 weeks was too short. I couldn't come back. And they were dragging their feet, and the language was, okay, put something else so that we let you do it. I also stuck to my grounds and said, so far as my driver's license was concerned, I wasn't going to cut corners. So I had to come back to Accra, and later went back and then had it. I can say I had to sacrifice so much. It was difficult. But at the end of the day, I have my conscience intact. Tonight, if I had cut corners, there may be someone in Tamale watching me now who may have assisted me to cut corners, and then when he sees me on TV, oh, he's there talking about corruption. By the time he came to the DVLA, he did the same thing. So all that I'm trying to say is that there's a verse in the Bible, the books of Proverbs, that said, food gained by deceit tastes sweet to man, but in the end, his mouth is full of gravels. You see those people in the short run, you think, oh, he will get home earlier than me. And there was this day I really think or realized that such people don't normally end well. Sometimes I was riding a motorbike and somebody came. He was also riding. There was traffic. Because I was slow, he came shouting, so I gave him way. When I got in front, maybe less than 50 meters, I saw him hitting a car. He had hit a car and he was down, so I passed. So there are times I also use that route a lot. But sometimes they come and they even cross you, and there's this look of triumph on their face, thinking, okay, they are the wise ones. But the question is, how are they going to end? Sometimes they will rush and go and crash somewhere. So I don't see that. They may think you're an idiot. They may think you're not wise. And sometimes, because of what I do, some will say, oh, don't you like money? Or everyone is doing this. And that's what it's become. But I believe, as I have said, you will never regret doing the right thing, because if for nothing at all, you go to bed and you can sleep so well. You don't say anything and then be watching your back to see who is there. There's nothing more satisfying in this world than walking about with your conscience clean.
Let me take a break here. But in our quest to, add our personal efforts to this crusade, I mean, should we focus on the system to make it a bit easier? Because it's not like, where, I broke the law and I got away, and it's just happened one after the. Should we also, while we are doing our personal attack, find how we can, look at the systems, each system, driving systems, procedure systems, to make it in such a way that even if you're going to punish me, it's an easier way for me to go through it to minimize these things. Don't move, we're coming back. Thank you very much for staying, and we are tackling corruption from here. Can you believe it? Yes, that's what we're doing. I'm talking to Dr. Joyce Ayi and Osei Asare Winnie. And just before the break, I was just wondering, could we launch an attack on the various systems we have? The procedure to get license should be strictly done by post, and you should get it within 2 weeks of posting it. Procedure for doing this, so that, it just minimizes our personal contact and, the temptation to shorten the queue or getting things faster by paying.
We have good laws and we have good regulations, but it's actually us, the human beings,
stopping the laws from
that
working.
that really make it difficult for the laws to work. I remember not too long ago, the passport office decentralized a bit. You didn't have to go to the passport office to buy your form. You buy the forms at the post office. Mm-hmm. And then you could also buy them in the other regions and, send them down and so on and so forth. And then they even said that there was an express service where you could pay a little extra and get it done and so on and so forth. But most of the time we don't believe it. We, the people, do not believe it. Manasseh knows somebody at the passport office, so I want to go and see Manasseh. Manasseh, go and see your friend, because I want to go there. And Manasseh tells me, no, go. He said, no. Somebody told me a story about, sitting in a taxi, and the taxi driver said, oh, madam, I want you to help me to get a passport. So she said, oh, go and buy the forms at the post office. He said, oh, no, it's not possible. When I go there, they won't mind me. So there's this perception that we feed on. We feed on, we feed on that all the time. Otherwise, how is it that you want to travel and you take $6,000, $7,000 and go and give it to someone to do your passport for you, to do your visa for you, to buy your ticket for you, and then find a person to travel with you? It's just that there's a certain level of ignorance of the real laws, a mistrust of the fact that the laws will work. And that mistrust is built on the fact that the perception is that, look, there's no straight route. You have to do something. So we need to really systematically let people know that in a lot of cases, the systems themselves are okay. And it is us, the people, who need to make the systems work. I sit in my office and a lot of people come to me and they say they want jobs. I say, I'm not an agency that finds jobs. But they think I know somebody who knows somebody. And I tell people, in the public sector, for example, there's a ban on employment. And then they'll come and tell you, oh, but recently so and so and so is working in this and that organization. And so they think that you should be able to do it. The person may be there and not even getting paid.
But you don't
Because I do know of some, No, it does happen. They're just there by the droves. Or else, other organizations are used to get them to be seen to be working for public offices, which are not on the consolidated fund.
I'm going to go to Manasseh, and then after we'll come back to the phones, and then I'm sure you want to chip in with your own story or find out if, how it is that we can stop this. And so if you put the phone number on the screen for me, thank you. Manasseh, you see, we've been fighting for Freedom of Information Bill, and I know you're one person who's championing that because you need a lot of information in your line of duty. But what I worry is, even without Freedom of Information Bill, you have uncovered a lot. But the attitude of the state towards what you have found sometimes shocks us all. There's no urgency or seriousness attached to what you brought forth. So I'm thinking if they pass the Freedom of Information Bill, we'll probably have a heart attack. Because, we've just been inundated with pure rot. And the other side will just be there giving excuses. Oh, he will pay back the money as and when. Do we actually need the Freedom of Information Bill?
I think we seriously need it. And when we get it, I'm sure things will get better. There are people who sign certain contracts. And if they ever knew that those contracts will be made public one day, they will not sign them. When I was doing this JIDA investigation, I came across such contracts and they were so outrageous. When people saw them, they started calling some companies and entrepreneurs thieves. But these are the same people that were hailing a week or so earlier. They were awarding them left, right, and center. But the difference is that people now know what is happening. And one example I can always cite is there was an advert in the papers for a JIDA contract to be awarded, mobile phone and ICT repairs. And later on, we raised questions about this story or ad, and the presidency actually issued a statement that it had put that model on hold. And what he said, Mahama Yarga, he was then Information and Media Relations Minister, said, well, the presidency didn't see it until Joy FM started talking about it. The only reason that model was stopped was because it was advertised. In the past, no single JIDA contract was advertised. They were all awarded through sole sourcing. And so nobody got to see this contract and even raised questions about their viability and the issues surrounding it. So can you imagine all of these contracts that we raise questions, if they all went public and people see them, they scrutinize them, at the end of the day, we will not be able to stop everything. And even those who sign those contracts will know that they are putting their own integrity on the line, because if people see what I'm doing, there's going to be trouble. But now they do it because when those contracts are signed, there are so-called confidentiality clauses. If you are not selling cocaine, you are using my money to give, you are giving my money to someone to construct a road in my area. Why should that be confidential? But they put confidentiality clauses in there and hide them, just because they don't think that the way the contracts are, if they come out, they would have peace. So I think if we have the Freedom of Information Act, it will not solve all our problems. But one thing about corruption is if there's light on it, a lot of people run away from it. If those at the passport office, for instance, know that there's a security camera on them, that all other people in Ghana are watching them, I think they will act differently.
Auntie Joyce, you see, we at the bottom have lost shame, and those at the top have cultivated the art of impunity.
I think you should use the same words too. They too have lost shame.
So Manasseh would uncover it, name you, shame you, call you, and it's like they'll still pull up in their big cars and still tax you to pay them. You know, elsewhere they would even
But
say,
you know one day what's going to happen? Your children and their children will be peers, and if anything happens, be referred. Why are you showing off so much? I mean, your father just stole money and, lived off the state and so on and so forth. So, these things don't die down too quickly. And I think that the deliberate attempt we make to just put an axe to the big tree called corruption, that first axe hit is the beginning of the end. And we mustn't find corruption so intimidating and so deeply rooted as not to want to do anything about it. That really is the stage we are pushing ourselves to. Oh, what can you do about it? What can I do about it? Oh, everybody is doing it. What, small me? No, I don't think that should be the attitude. Because, as you said, starts right down there. The clerk in the office who would want some weight on the envelope that contains the letter that has to go up, and so on and so on and so forth, And the justification is that I don't get paid enough, that kind of thing. So really, if that clerk decides that, no, this is my job, after all, I chose to work here, and they say they pay me this much, but that's what I chose to do. So I will do my work as it should be done. And the next person also chose to do that, it will be minimized. And I think that is where, for us, who met yesterday, that was a really important message for all of us.
Let me take my last break here so that at least we can engage on the phone a bit. So don't move. Well, thank you very much for staying. And this is the point where you also join the conversation. It's 0302 211 70124. 0302 211 701 702 703 704. What do you think we can do? And your personally, what you can do, not what the president is doing, not what the minister is doing. What you sitting at home thinking, look, from today onwards, I'm not paying that 5 cedis anymore. I'm good to. Who do I have on the phone? Felix. Come again, I can't get you. Stephen, hello, Stephen.
Hello.
Yeah, Stephen.
Yes.
Let me hear your take on this issue.
Pardon me.
Let me hear your take on this issue.
Yeah, I want to contribute
Very
to the program.
well, very good. You're on air, so let me hear you.
Yeah, I think this electoral reform we are talking about.
No, you think you called the wrong show. I'm not doing electoral reforms.
It's a wrong number.
Yes, I think so. I think so. Let me take the next caller if I have anybody. Al Hassan, let me talk to Al Hassan.
Hello.
Hello, Al Hassan.
Huh?
Al Hassan.
Hi.
Yeah, let me hear you.
Bolga.
Let me hear you, Al Hassan.
Pardon me?
Let me hear your take. What's your issue on the subject?
I'm not hearing you, sir.
I think you're putting me calls for the other program. If you,
Yeah.
hello, audio. Who do I have? Hello, Mohammed. Hello. Okay, I'm not taking any more phone calls because I have a lot to do in the studio, so I'm not taking any more phone calls. And because there's so many points that I'd want us to go through, so I was actually even rushed for time. What are some of the points and how do we tackle this thing?
Yesterday, a young man who was there, who is a footballer, and has set up a small association of footballers who want to support one another. He said in football, the best form of defense is attack. Therefore, let us attack corruption with all we have. I thought that was very profound. Because you know something, if we think that corruption is such a huge tree and it's so intimidating that we can't do anything about it, we won't even make the effort. But I know that no matter how big a tree is, a concerted effort using a machete, using an axe, and everybody chipping in will bring the tree down.
I'll let you continue, but just to add this, I mean, we at the bottom, will we sacrifice if those at the top don't sacrifice? I mean, I have to go out after this, program and do my bit, and there they are not doing their bit.
I don't think that ought to be the attitude. For me, I don't think that ought to be the attitude. The attitude is that I know that taking this water so that bringing you this water so that you let me get a favor is wrong. So I won't do it. Let somebody else sit somewhere and do it, but I will not do it. Because it's not a race for those at the top stopping it before we at the bottom stopping it. Because we too do it at all various levels.
And then as a family?
Exactly. As a family, for example, what are the values that will guide us as a family? I mean, there's some families that decide. One of the questions that came up was, or one of the issues that came was that you should decide that, as for me and my family, we will not pay money before we find ourselves in school, as a family. We will not break the traffic lights. Little things.
But the school one could be dangerous, though.
Why not? Why should it be dangerous?
There are only few good schools and there are
That's
only
not
few
true
places.
at all. That's not true at all.
There's no bad school.
Thank you.
I'm a journalist today because I didn't go to the school I wanted to go. And I've never regretted because I went to this school I didn't want to go. Joined the drama group. I started writing. Someone said, "You're writing so well. Why don't you go and do journalism?" So if I had got the school I really wanted to go, I may have ended up being somewhere.
A doctor, and you'll probably be on strike.
Accounts clerk or something. So sometimes we tend to run away from our destiny just because we are prepared to cut corners. We run away from our own prosperity and success to some difficult situations just because we want to cheat the system. So I don't think there's anything bad about sticking to the rules and going by what good conscience, integrity dictates.
So that would be family principles.
Family principles. But you must have your own personal principles too, you know. And then as a professional, you must have your principles. His principles is that as a professional, he'll only talk about the truth. And when he sees something wrong, he'll write about it and try to get it right.
Even though he's annoying many people.
He's bound to annoy. Don't mosquitoes annoy us. You know. And at the financial level, if I stop living beyond my means, you know, I'll make enough money to take care of other things. But if I want to, you know, dress like you, even though I can't afford, which is what a lot of us are doing these days, girls, they're wearing long hair. I hear it's called Brazilian or Peruvian or something like that. I hear it costs a lot of money. But yes, it may be nice on somebody else, but I can't afford it. So I shouldn't wear it. You see? So even at the personal level and that at the material financial level, little decisions, that's what we were saying yesterday, little decisions. I mean, we're not trying to change Ghana in a minute. We want to change Ghana by putting our little drops, collective little drops, until we get the ocean. That's really what we should be doing. And before we say that, oh, it's too difficult, we can't do it, let's decide that, you know, the little I do will make a difference. The little Nana does will make a difference. The little Manasseh does will make a difference. That's the way to go. And I'm thinking we should start a revolution.
You see now?
I call it a righteousness revolution. You know? Like each of us deciding from our hearts, in our minds, in our attitudes, to do the right things. So let's start an RR, righteousness
revolution.
Righteousness revolution.
I mean, Manasseh is not there.
Will you join me?
I'm already in that
You're
army.
In the army. We're doing a revolution, a righteousness revolution. This one is personal, starts from your heart, the heart that wants to do right. And the heart transfers it to the mind, creates a different mindset. And the mind changes the attitudes. And the attitudes change our actions. And we're already in the revolution.
Manasseh, I mean, let me give you, I mean, what are some of the little things you do that, you know, ask for this, we should be able to cut it out? I mean, I know some are challenging, but there must be certain things that, you know, ask for this, we should be able to cut it out. In your line of work, what do you think it is?
As in?
I don't know, maybe...
What are the little things that
little
you can
things
do
that we, little laws that we break that you think, no, as for this, we should be able to, you know, cut it out. Maybe I can't wake up tomorrow morning and become like the Pope, but maybe ask for a red light, I should be able to obey, or ask for, you know, getting there on time, I should do, or not putting weight in the envelope. I mean, there should be something that basically we should cut out. You know.
I think all other things that are not good, because those who even do those things, I think everybody has some level of conscience. If someone perhaps slaps you and they do all the argument and you don't mind them, when they go back and sleep, something will tell them that what they did was wrong. So what I think we can all do is that we all know what is right and what is wrong. It is about taking that decision. Then let everyone else do it. I'm not going to be part of it. And let's live our lives, especially the youth who are like me. Sometimes we tend to behave in a way that sometimes you don't think there's even a future for us. But if we continue the way we are going, sometimes I ask myself, how are my children going to survive in this country? Are they going to buy papers and pass and whatever? So let's make a personal commitment that let's behave as if Ghana will work again, then it will depend on me. You make that commitment. And with time, we get that collective
righteousness
strengths that we would need to make the difference.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And let me remind you that on the 4th of October, there's a musical concert. They're going to introduce or launch a Ghanaian choral composer.
Yes, his name is Asare Bediako, Sam Asare Bediako.
And the venue is?
The venue is the Christ the King Parish Hall.
And this is the 8th year running, so you don't want to miss it. They are very, very good. And just to add to what Auntie Joyce said, I had a friend who called me and said, well, you know Kofi and Tree at GIPC, so why don't you call and get a form for me so I'll go and register? And I said, no, go there and just
register yourself.
And they were shocked to go there and take
the
form
easy.
And register.
Yeah.
And so if you have a company and you import stuff, go to GIPC, pick this form because you get duty-free things. Believe you me, if you are a registered company, pick this form up and you get stuff duty-free. Folks, my name is Nana Sakwa, and as we always say, tomorrow we'll be back to do this all over again. And thank you very much for coming.
Thank you very much for having us.